How you doing? Thank you for coming. Come on, step right up. Come on. My name's Mario. I go under the name of Bush Poetry, and I'm here to do you a couple songs, couple poems, and hopefully make you smile. Now, I booked this show quite a few months ago, and I've been working at this set list ever since, and I'm very happy with it. It ends with an anticlimax, but when we reach that, we will enjoy it together. But if y'all don't mind, I'd like to warm up with a cover song if that's okay with you folks. The groom stood there waiting for his bride, the best man shivering by his side. On him the smell of stale sheep dip and a flask of brandy on his hip. He knew he'd trod that last long mile as his dear walked slowly down the aisle. This was the day he was waiting for, when he'd get in for a cut and more of her old man's station and his gold. Soon as wedding bells are tolled, the fortune sure had smiled his way. This was indeed his lucky day. But the bride, she died at the altar. The bridegroom died next day. The parson dropped dead in the churchyard as he was about to pray. The hearse capsized at the crossroads. It couldn't make the turn, and the people stood and cheered like mad as they watched the old church burn. And then the heavens broke open, and the rain it started to fall, and the whole flaming town got washed away, and there was no one left at all. Alright, dig it. Mr. Dudley Porter. He was quite the sort to buy around for all in town in between a quarter. Generosity he'd boast, loudly, more than most, for on this flat his was the name that founded Porter's Post. Now Porter's great-grandfather, he was a farmer's son. When work was on, he'd scarper, and underground he'd run. In wombat holes and empty caves, in nooks and cracks he'd coil, till one day deep he'd found his save. Ye gads, the boy had struck oil. Up the hole he flew, huzzah, the lad exclaimed. He knew too well this well would pay. By noon his father's land he claimed, and sold the well next day. Well, they hardly saw it coming from such a mild young chap, with all his guile and cunning, had donned the swindler's cap. And when the mines came with their camps, he told them, smiling bright, there's the open pasture, that's 20 bob a night. Investors cringed and grit their teeth, haggled, swore and grimaced. But Porter, he stayed unperturbed and told them, do your business. Time went on, the work endured, the well she saw no end. But being many a mile from Grown, drove campfolk round the bend. The boss, he said, expense is high, old Porter's got us screwed. Half the cash us boys pull out is in his flamin' shoe. Now Porter heard the ruckus, and he thought it rather wise. If he should avoid a riot, he'd have to compromise. He sauntered out and called the folks, I'll build your pub, I will. Carry on your honest work, and you'll soon drink your fill. Now Porter built a pub, and then much more than that. Stables, halls, general stores, and all sorts round the flat. A lumberyard for timber beams, a cobbler for your shoes, a seamstress for your trouser seams, and a brothel for your blues. A doctor for what ails a man, a counsellor for his frown, and on the streets a rattling tram to take him up and down. Banks and bankers, grocery stores, hats and clothiers too. Butchers, spurs and sweets galore, old Porter had come through. But when the time had come at last to fill the shops with willing staff, old Porter did as he'd done in the past, and always took his cheeky half. The day had come, the sun was high, the folks all gathered round. Today's the day old Porter's pub would open to the town. The brass band played an ode to joy, the opening pub doors creaked. The folks all filed in feverishly to hear old Porter speak. Good and honest townsman, noble, short and tall, a promise is a promise, so I give to you this hall, wherein you all may drink and sing to your merry heart's content. Never have you ever seen a more grand establishment. But with what coin, dare I ask? All ears turned around. A stocky-looking stockman had stood and took his ground. Our dosh goes to equipment, hats, grocers too. I can't afford to buy a whore, and I hear half goes to you. And Porter started sweating, for every working man had had a chat and soon clued into Porter's cunning plan. Get the flaming bastard, he's bleeding us all dry, and now he's trying to console us with a drink we cannot buy. The mob closed in, tightened fists, guns and shovels drawn. They'd had enough, this wouldn't fly, none yesterday was born. Old Porter, quaking in his boots for every man to see, could muster mere a mild murmur. Oh, how about a drink on me? Now, Mr. Dudley Porter, he comes from cunning stock, but still he stays fair income till the pub's front doors are locked. For old Porter did impart on him a point to make him think. If you're gonna screw a man, at least buy him a drink. Thank you, appreciate it. Yes. What's your favorite tool?
Hammer.
Hammer? You know what my favorite tool is?
What's yours?
The Foreman. Anyway, this one's about a foreman right here. My mum likes this one. Hear me, I'm Fat Sack McCracken, and don't you let me catch you slacking. For I'm the foreman here on site, so play it safe or find a smacking. No flippin' files or hurling hammers, shaking saws or spinning spanners. Brandish bricks, I'll have your head. Fool with tools, you'll wind up dead. Keep your nails and screws in check. Don't have them strewn about the deck. Follow the plan, don't make a guess. There's reasons for OH&S. Safety on the site's the key. That's shared responsibility. Round here, we function as a squad. And that means you silly sod. So, make the foreman say it twice. Fat Sack McCracken won't play nice. He'll blow his top and throw a fit at any flippant use of kick. Think you're clever? You think you're slick? Fat Sack will smack you on the dick. Down your tools, send you packing. He'll see you out with one more whacking. For no one gets a painless sacking if they cross Fat Sack McCracken. Here's another song. Alright. I like this one. This one's about manners. Manners and old friends. Welcome to my home. Don't bother with your shoes, my friend. The floor's already dirty, but I'll clean it when you're gone. Step right in and take a seat. I'm very glad you're here. Can I offer you a cup of tea, a biscuit or a beer? And if you need to stay the night, that's fine. Well, I don't have a spare bed, but you can take mine. Chuffed to have you here, it sure has been a while. I miss your voice, I miss your face, and I miss your cheeky smile. Mi casa su casa, how's about another drink? As long as you don't go and wash your balls in my sink. Yes, you heard me clearly, I've got no other ruling. I only ask you spare my time. mishaps from witnessing your ghoulies. I've got a shower and several towels, and you're welcome to use them. For if I see your nads inside the basin, you will lose them. Surely it is not much to expect. I've been a mighty gracious host, now be a decent guest. You're always welcome in my house, no matter where you wander. As you know they say, accents makes the heart grow fonder. But in less than a second I can change my attitude. If I find my drains coagulated with your pubes, I'm begging you, I'm at my wit's end. Oh, why would you keep on scrubbing? I thought you were my friend! Daft, joking round and feeling our feet upon the table, blowing smoke rings at the ceiling. I've never had such fun before, I'll have you back I think, as long as you don't go and wash your balls in my sink. Don't wash your balls, don't wash your balls, don't wash your balls in my sink. Don't wash your balls. See, I can take my time, I'm the last act. The courthouse doors had opened far too early for the judge. He sifted through his papers, sipping coffee with a grudge. The defense attorney sidled up, trying to placate. The judge's mood this day was foul. The client was still late. Together here ain't cheap, you know. The judge, he sharply muttered. You'll be in. Don't lose your wig. The sly attorney stuttered. Then as he said so, lo and behold, the chap was spotted just down the road, meandered a moment the opposite way. Everyone thought he'd try to escape, but briskly the bailiff and Bobby at hand scooped him up to be sent to the stand. He brandished and floundered, and he put up a chase, but soon, justice he had to face. You stand accused of nicking the wagon parked on Harmon's Green, and to top it off, you're also late. So let's hear how you plead. Verily I say not guilty. I've no part in this crime. If I had taken Harmon's wagon, I'd be here on time. The defense attorney snickered, and the coppers rolled their eyes. For blokes like this, they'd seen before trying to roll their dice, spouting any old crock they can to send the court astray. The Crown would have it easier chasing seagulls from the bay. The prosecutor took the stand, an envelope held in his hand of papers that he'd handed out before. Copies for the judge and jury, signed and stated, filed duly, presented to the court to be considered by the law. On the 1st October, you are said to have been seen snooping round the wagon shed on Farmer Harmon's Green. And don't you try to deny it. And don't you try to scheme. For witnesses I have in droves from here to Aberdeen. Then, as he waved his hand for backup, half the gallery floor stood up. A wily mob, dressed in their best, presented at prosecution's behest to verify the charges laid and to see the wagon's theft repaid. The defendant's eyes went wide as wheels. It seemed that he'd run out of deals. His lawyer, he saw from the stand, with his face inside his hand. Oh, I did it! I confess! How I tried my very best to dick around and mess you up until the court digressed. I stole old Harmon's wagon, right out from his nose. By the time I fled the scene, he barely had on clothes. And I rolled it through the country, and I pushed it into town. and sold it for 6 shillings before the cops came down. Deliberating quickly, the jury had their man. The verdict came as guilty, so they threw him in a van. They took that flaming rascal and they put him in the pen. The Harmon's stolen wagon was never seen again. Here's another song. I like this one. I don't need a pick for it. It's great. I was digging around with this one the other day, and it sounds a bit like, hold on. You know I can find. But I'm not going to sing that. I'm not going to sing that today. No. I'm going to sing something else. Anyway, this song is a song about politeness and how to treat people you're courting with the proper amount of respect. Do not send a picture of your penis to a girl you like, or else she might not like you anymore. For such a brazen act on your part, frankly, it's quite rude, and she might think that you think she is a fool. Well, there's ways to show you keen that aren't downright obscene, so I don't know why you'd send a dick pic for. When you could paint a painting, sing a nice song with a full line of prose. Ask her out to supper or a lunch and then present her with a rose. Approach her with composure, not indecent exposure. Oh buddy boy, you're gonna get the hose. Oh well, let's just say you take a punt and drop your dax and photograph your prick. Wishful thinking says she's into it, statistics say it's likely she'll be sick. It's an awful thing to see when you open up your screen. She'll send your package packing mighty quick. You'll find the key word is consent, so learn to ask before you show your bits. And if there's one good way to convey your admiration, whipping out your willy wagtail isn't it? And unless the lass is keen, it's best to go unseen. So check yourself before your cock commits. Don't go sending pictures of your dick. Use your brain and don't be a fuckwit. Don't go sending pictures of your dick. Yeah! So these next few poems, they're very short ones. They're fun little short ones. But this next one, I didn't place it in this set list to be an aftermath of the last song, but it's just kind of panned out that way, and I think it fits quite well. So this poem is called "I'll Kick You in the Balls So Hard." I'll kick you in the balls so hard. I'll rear my boot back for the charge, and when I let it fly, my friend, you'll know your nuts have met their end. I'll punt your prick with all I've got, send one square right up your scrot. Such wretched pain you never knowed, then when I'll wail upon your chode. So tragic, it should end this way. Decidedly, you have to pay. For such an act I can't let slip without a swift kick in the dick. Thank you. These next two poems are about drugs. Hi Mum. My mum's here.
Drugs!
Yeah. So but one about up drugs, one about down drugs. You pick one. Pick one. Up or down. Come on. Oh, fantastic. I like this one. I tell it to people in pubs and then they pass out and they leave me alone. Anyway, hear this. Peep the fella. Here he comes, speeding down the road. Look at him run. What has he done? The coppers are in tow. Lightning fast, he whizzes past, causing a palaver. Ducking around the CBD, punters run for cover. The cops yell, "Stop!" He'll soon get dropped. He won't be home for dinner. Because matey, that's what happens when you take too many pingers. Big Barry Bryant brought bumbling by the brook a box of blazing biscuits, 5 of which he took, and in his tum they tumbled, and they made him awful crook, till by the brook he crumbled. Poor Barry Bryant was cooked. This next song was my favourite one. I like it a lot. Hey there, slick, you're looking schmick, you're quite the lady killer. You call your hand the shopper and you call your dick the thriller. Your sexual prowess might be great, you might be awful proud, but if you don't eat pussy, then you're a fucking coward. But you might be the bravest boy the world has ever seen. You might have climbed Mount Everest just to say you'd been a red mark across the cliffsides and bungee jumped off towers. But if you don't eat pussy, then you're a fucking coward. It really is quite simple, it can be done all day, unless you have a missing tongue or aren't inclined that way. You've been to war and fought them all and came on quite the hero. On your way, stopped in to save some folks from an inferno. You braved the blaze, a family saved, the building was devoured. Unlike your partner's pussy, 'cause you're a fucking coward. It really is quite simple, just take your time and start, unless you have associated trauma in your heart. But otherwise I can't surmise why you just wouldn't treat it. Just take it from that Weird Al song, just eat it. Now if you heard the words I sung and your heart quakes with rage, my own heart goes out to you, it's not too late to change. I don't mean to humiliate, I hope you feel empowered to invest in some pussy and quit being a coward. I wrote fairly recently. It wasn't a part of my set list until this morning, I think. So I'm going to print it out. It's right here. It's right here. It's very fun poem. It's a bit longer. A longer poem about drugs. It's called The Bush. Anyway, dig it. I set out on a Sunday as the summer sun sat down, donned my cap and rucksack as I set off toward the town. A bloke I sought to meet with, a chap not dealt in cook. Little did I know I'd soon be hiding in a bush. The high street was a-bustling with sounds of song and sails. Yet in the far-off distance, I heard a siren's wails. I thought quite little of it, dispelled it from my mind. That way I won't be walking, plus I'm not the troubled kind. Skipping through the suburbs, brushing bush and picket fence, I heard the sirens louder, and I felt a little tense. I strapped my bag in tighter, and I started up a sprint. I've heard the word about the clink, I didn't want to stint. I darted up the dealer's steps and quickly tapped the door. His head popped out the garden gate. What's all that up for? I came to get some stuff at first. The cops are on the way, and the whaling tells me they ain't far, so we don't have all day. I handed him a 50, just as my panic settled in. Then suddenly he smiled and plucked some big bags from the bin. No need for any payment, mate. In fact, just take the lot. Then loaded up my arms as round the corner tore the cops. Without a hesitation, I hoofed it down the street. scared out of me breeches, dripping thousandfold of green. Behind me I could hear a door being kicked right off its hinge, and coppers yelling after me, "Send the dogs after him." I bolted nearly half a K. I swore my feet would crack, panting, running, out of breath with lawmen on my back. I couldn't take it, not one step. I dropped down on my push, then snapped a sense behind a fence and scrambled to the bush. I sat in fearful silence. For eternity it seemed. The street teemed with policemen as I trembled in the leaves. A German shepherd came nearby to have himself a sniff, then turned away. As quick he came, seeming rather miffed. The law dispersed, I sighed, relieved. My muscles I unclenched. Then all at once it struck my schnoz, this foul, ungodly stench. I wondered how I went unfound, and my new stash unsmelled. No scent of skunk could mask the fact that I had shit myself. But now I'm home and safely tucked away inside my den. I don't think I'll be buying from that dealer chap again. For once, he's actually called me, but I think I'll keep it shush. Turn off my phone a while and wait to tell him about the bush. None of these poems are an indictment of myself. Entirely fictional. Entirely fictional, I swear. But I have to say that one for this next poem. For this next poem, I need a volunteer in the audience. I need to intimidate you for the purposes of this. Well, Taman, you put your good hand up. Oh, shit.
Don't be intimidated.
All right, front and center, you're ready for it. This poem, I didn't have a name for. I just called it Crime Man. It's a working title. It's a bit of a rant. It's a bit of a hoo-ha all over the shop. But it goes a little something like this. I frequent stool bars and shack houses, junkyards and piss bouses, and I'll stiff any slick-back punk off the beat. The crimes I've done are plenty, all four to make my meat. I've had my day in court to say I'm kingpin of this street. I've burgled bunglers, outbid baronets, boxed my way out of every bet. Karate kicked a kid off a bridge, pissed in the parish punch, a smidge. I've run around the rooftops, firing a gun, pushing down fridges to crush passing nuns. I've stolen so much cash, I'll buy the governor's house in town, which will sure confuse him when he learns I burnt it down. I'll wake up good and early just to smack who first I see, which, depending on the park bench, could rouse up quite the spree. The Queen, she came to visit me. I slashed her carriage wheels, stole couches off the elderly and all their grandkids' meals. I've swindled my way into every high-rise, pinched the fittings and leapt in disguise. So, if you frequent a stool bar near me, I might be found with an ace up my sleeve. But dare you call it, we'll step to the streets, because I'm doing crime, and you're dead meat. What a good sport, ladies and gentlemen. Shit, man, that set went much faster than I thought. This is already my last song.
So good.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming. I want to thank Danny from Canyon Hall, Dinosaur Starvation Orchestra. Beautiful, fucking beautiful. Whether through music or your encouragement. Really appreciate it. Thank you all for coming out as well. This is my last song. It's called Rambling Up a Rocky Mountain. I'm rambling up the rocky mountainside. I got a big old stick and water by my side. It's such a lovely day to go trekking off the trail. So I'm rambling up the rocky mountainside. I'm clearing sticks and stones with every stride. My feet feel free, it's good to be alive. I'll reach the peak by noon, and I'll be home pretty soon. I sure hope nothing bad happens. I'm climbing up the rocky mountainside. Suddenly a shiver down my spine. I turn around to see tattered slacks. This bloke's dragging an axe. Oh shit, I think some bad's about to happen. I'm running up a rocky mountainside. Jesus Christ, I do not want to die. This dickhead looks deranged. My footing comes astray. I slip and fall and down the slope I slide. I'm scrambling up a rocky mountainside. Too late, he's caught up with his axe held high. His eyes are white as snow. The axe is all aglow. He pierces through my mind and speaks unto me. You foolish boy, you aren't allowed to climb. A long and ancient doctrine you deride. I beg you, don't attack. It's driven through my back. And that, my friends, right there is the anticlimax. Do you want to hear if you're any pussy again? Yeah! That's a fun one. Alright, twice more. I'm not into that. Great. Alright. Hey, that's like your look, you make you quite the lady killer. You call your hand the shocker and you call your dick the thriller. Your sexual prowess might be great, you might be awful proud, but if you don't eat pussy, then you're a fucking cow. But you might be the bravest boy the world has ever seen. You might have climbed Mount Everest just to say you've been. Ran parkour across the cliff sides and bungee jump dropped out. But if you don't eat pussy, then you're a fucking cow. Folks from an inferno, you brave the blaze, a family saved, the building was devoured. Unlike your partner's pussy, cause you're a fucking coward. Oh, it really is quite simple, just take your tongue and start. Unless you have associated trauma in your heart. But otherwise I can't surprise why you just wouldn't treat it. Just take it from that weird old song. With your heart quakes with rage, my own heart goes out to you. It's not too late to change. I don't mean to humiliate. I hope you feel empowered to invest in some pussy and quit being a cow.